Hello and welcome back to my Pokemon Horizons review series. Today we are reviewing episode 51. Let's get started and I hope you enjoy. So this week we are finally getting a break from the battles and some downtime after the trio have all passed their tests. Now they turn focus to the Pokemon reports that Director Clavel reminded them about. They all have to find some wild Paldea Pokemon and make their own reports, taking pictures and analysing them, which means we finally get some fun adventures in the Paldea region coming. And this episode kind of shocked me. The trio make camp nearby a spot that has tons of Pokemon with the help of the Professor Freed app that we saw in a previous episode. An app made by Freed that helps show the locations of different types of Pokemon. Small things like this make this series really connected and it was just a really cool touch. Roy goes off with Wattrel and Fuecoco to observe a killer Wattrel. We don't see much of him this episode, but I'm sure that will all play into the next one. This one, however, focuses on Liko, and this was much needed for everyone in my opinion. We see more of Terapagos and Hatenna, which I feel like we haven't really had much spotlight with them recently. Terapagos keeps wandering off while Hatenna remains its adorable self, and we kind of see Floragato go back to its old ways, as Liko is focusing on the other two and not really giving it much attention, so it starts to become prickly. Its fur gets hard and thorny and she becomes a bit distant with Liko. At first I didn't like this because we've seen this all before, but it did go in a direction that I didn't expect. We get told by Dot about this giant flower pillow that appears ever so often, and it's basically a tornado of pink flowers that is really pretty to look at, and both of them say that they want to see it. Meanwhile, Floragato is still in this teenager type phase, babysitting the two kids, Hatenna and Terapagos, as Terapagos keeps wandering off. It was just a really funny vibe seeing how Floragato just couldn't be bothered with all this hassle. Terapagos was stuck on its back trying to get up, Hatenna was pushing as hard as it could and it just wouldn't budge, and Floragato had just had enough. It was actually hilarious. Meanwhile, Liko gets stuck in this den covered in vines, and I just had a feeling a giant boss Pokemon was going to come out and attack, but it turned out to just be a group of Toedscool. And I never thought anything would make me appreciate Toedscool as a Pokemon, but today's episode seems to have proved that wrong. Floragato leaps in to protect Liko just before the Toedscool attack, but actually they weren't gonna attack. They are pretty friendly and just needed help getting rid of all these vines. It was like they were doing a secret ritual and they just didn't want anyone to see. And Liko tells Floragato that, and we see a bit of a change. I think it all stems down to Floragato being really protective over Liko. It knows she can be too nice, too sympathetic, and she often puts herself in danger. I think that's why Floragato was getting a bit annoyed with her earlier, because she's constantly looking out for other people, other Pokemon, and not herself. But we see them come together in a really nice moment, hugging it out, and we see Floragato's prickly thorns turn into nice soft fur again. And we see the two come to understand each other a bit better. And it's constant growth for these two, which I love. They are treading familiar ground with Floragato being stubborn again, but I think it works. It felt a bit different this time, and it's just another adventure that brings the two closer together. They all work together to help the Toedscool clear away these vines, and then we see the incredible sight of this wind blowing through, rising up all of these Toedscool, and it looks like a giant flower pillar, just as Dot said. It was quite a beautiful moment as Liko and Floragato stare at these flowers, knowing their bond is even stronger now, and it helps that all of this can count as Liko's school report too. But what a great episode. I did not expect this to be as good as it was. I thought it was a bit of a fillerish, not much would happen kind of episode, as we've had so much battling going on, but this was fantastic. I love Liko and Floragato's relationship. I love how it keeps growing. Floragato really has a unique personality, and it kind of reminds me of Ash's Grovyle, keeping to itself but also remains very protective. And as I said before, this episode made me really like the Toedscool, seeing them all come together to create this giant flower pillar. Just all round a really great episode for me, showing off why Liko is a fantastic character in her own right, and giving us adventure to develop her journey even more. So I'm going to give this episode a 8 out of 10. Let me know your thoughts on this one. What is your rating out of 10? Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.